one, I cannot be the two. Why you on a perimeter, can't even shoot? Oh, you got a whack at jump. We gon' make it rain on thunder. I ain't tryna sit on the phone tryna.
Hey man, NFL Week 1 is in the books. I'm just gonna go through basically every single game. The biggest performances that I've seen, the storylines that head into Week 2 and onward, things that I think affect my long-standing predictions or my long-term predictions. But obviously, we're going to start with the Dallas-Philly game. So obviously, this game started off with Spitgate. I think this was a very interesting moment and an interesting way for the Philadelphia Eagles to start their title defense. Jalen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott is just a bad look for the NFL. Obviously, it's the NFL season opener. I think the stats just came out like 22, 30 something. It was a lot of viewers. Obviously, it's Thursday night, first game of the season. Dallas Cowboys, defending Super Bowl champions, going at each other. Like, obviously, it's going to be a big game. And for the first play, obviously, the dude got injured on the kick out. Shout out to him. But on the first time we get to the field and the stars are on the field, we see Jalen Carter, a man who has a shadowed, storied history, let's call it, from things that happen, in college that we don't need to talk about necessarily, bring to the pros. But, that's why he fell in the draft. But, so him with that history, spitting on someone who won Walter Payton Man of the Year, the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. It's just bad image. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, NFC divisional matchup. All divisional matchups get a little dicey. AFC North, NFC East, I think, are the most aggressive type of matchups or rivalries. I think they've been around the longest. But anyways, it's a bad look. It's a really bad look for Jalen to start off the game like that. And I don't know if I want to take it to, okay, what are we going to see from the Eagles if the first time we see them, one of their best players on their defense, if not the best player on their defense, is starting the game doing something so egregious off rip. But then we see the different camera angle of Dak Prescott actually spitting on not spitting on, let me slow down. We see the camera angle that Dak spit on the floor in front of Jalen Carter. Not on him, because, in the interview, he cleared it up. Hey, obviously I wouldn't spit on anybody. You're kind of disrespecting me by saying that I would spit on you. But if you saw the video, I need you to go look it up. If you saw the video, Dak he had two linemen in front of him. He spit. He did a little chin, what's up, and smirked. That was not Dak just spitting on the ground. I don't know. I like Dak. I like him as a person. I like him as a quarterback. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, you know what I'm saying, to entice the other team into doing what he did, because obviously I think it played made a big difference in the game with their run defense up the middle. The Eagles, I believe, were rattled in the beginning of that game. Really, anything past the weather delay, I really thought, or before the weather delay, I thought the Cowboys had a really good chance. But the reason why they didn't end up winning is right here. The person that's right here on this picture. So if we look at the box score, reception 7. 110 yards, averaging 15.7. You think, wow, CD had a great game. But then you go over here to targets and you think, oh, 13. Like whether it's pass breakups, then what's his name? Quinton Mitchell, have a good game, whatever the case was. If we go to the drops, I don't even think we can see the drops on this screen. But if we go to the drops, and if you were watching the game, you see CD was dropping some crucial passes. And honestly, I think Dak had a great game. I don't think this QBR passer rating do him any justice. Obviously 21 for 34 doesn't look good for less than 200 yards. But when I tell you Dak, I can't say he was the best player on the field, because I do think on the other side, what Jalen Hurts did, not only throwing the ball efficiently, but carrying the ball as their leading rusher. Obviously, some people don't like that, but we'll get to the Eagle side of the things in just a minute. But Dak Prescott doing what he did, I think Dak was a very, very important player on that team. And if Jalen Hurts, if this game was tied, I would say Dak Prescott was the better player. But I don't know. I can't say Dak was better than Jalen when Jalen got the job done. But obviously, if we look at what CD was doing, but it's not like Jalen Hurts receivers showed up either. But can you blame the receivers for that, considering, AJ Brown, if I pull it over a little bit, AJ Brown only had one target. and this is the main part I want to get to the Eagles. Not only the Jalen Carter piece of it, but the fact that A.J. Brown had 1 target. And this was a story last season. Obviously, before the Pittsburgh game, I believe it was before the Pittsburgh game, A.J. Brown had said, hey, we got to throw the ball better. Our passing game needs to be better, whichever words he used. Jalen came out, did his thing against the Steelers, again, I believe. Then he said, is this what you wanted to see? You know, A.J. Brown reading his book on the sideline. It was a story. I think the thing that makes this a story more than anything else is after the Super Bowl, A.J. Brown posted on Instagram, I think it was. Basically, it was a soliloquy stating, you know, I thought a Super Bowl is everything I ever wanted, but it's not. I really just like dominating my opponent. Which I understand. Obviously, I wasn't a top athlete like A.J. Brown, but wins are really nice. But winning the way you want to win is not a lot more important, but important to you as well. You know what I'm saying? When you're a top athlete, you want to perform. You don't just want to be a jag, as Agent 89 would say. You don't want to be just a guy. You want to be the guy, the reason that we win. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be an interesting storyline for the rest of the season. If Jalen doesn't prioritize A.J. Brown, if the offensive coordinator doesn't prioritize A.J. Brown. But all in all, I think the Cowboys were better than we expected. The running game was better than we expected, but it might have been just because of Jalen Carter's absence. The Eagles might have been rattled. The Eagles divisional matchup, a lot of people did expect the Cowboys to get blown out. You know, obviously no Micah Parsons, so late in the season, all the drama, all this, but they played well. But we'll see. We'll see. So moving on to this game, Friday night game, I believe, played in Brazil. Kind of interesting. On one of the first plays of the game, this happens. This right here, I think, changed the whole game. I don't know if the Chiefs were going to win. I think it was likely they would win if they still had Xavier Worthy in the game plan. Maybe not. He goes for 100 yards, but you know, just having him on the field does make a huge difference. But obviously, the story of the night was Justin Herbert, and I think that passing offense. When the game started, and we saw Justin Herbert throwing the ball consistently, not only on like a 2nd and short or 3rd and short situation, but over and over again. And maybe the game plan was, you know, the Chiefs think we're going to run. Everybody thinks we're going to run. We got this new shiny running back, you know, rookie. We think he's going to show out for us. Let's trick everybody and pass the ball. And that's what they did. They passed the ball all over the yard. As you can see, 318, anything under over 250, 275, I think is a lot of passing yards for a quarterback. Obviously 300 plus is great. Now we're getting into great game numbers. You see Patrick Mahomes over here, 250, 258 to be exact. But the thing that mattered most in this game, I believe, is that Greg Roman opened up his passing. His passing playbook was really on show for everyone to see. Maybe that was because of the late injury to their player. Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting his name. Rashawn Slater. Maybe that's because Rashawn Slater got injured, and then instead of running, they started to pass more because the person that slid over, I think Joe Alt slid over, but you know, the new lineman that was in place, maybe he's a better pass blocker than he is a run blocker. I don't know. I expected Greg Roman to run the ball crazy. It didn't happen. I didn't expect this. Shout out to Quentin Johnson, 5 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 79 yards. That was impressive. That was very impressive, especially when you're looking at his his career in general. You didn't see him doing this. Last year, I believe, is this his 3rd year? This is his 3rd year, I believe. It wasn't good. His rookie year wasn't good. His last, how many seasons has he played? Okay, so this is his 3rd year. Sorry, I just had to confirm that. It is his 3rd year, but the last 2 years haven't been good for him. I think he's had a lot more drops than we wanted him to have. If I was a Chargers fan, I'm not really, but coming out of TCU, I think he had bigger expectations. Ladd McConkey really helped him out last year. I think he not overshadowed him in a bad way, but protected him from being seen as a bust, because honestly, that's what I was seeing a lot of. It's just underwhelming weapons. And still, it's not like they have, amazing weapons out there. Him, Ladd, and Josh Palmer. I do like Palmer coming over from the Bills. I believe he was on. It's an interesting group. I think coaching is going to be able to put them over the top. On the Chiefs side of things, it just wasn't it. whether it be we thought we were going to see the light show, sorry, let me put that, the light show or not, it just was underwhelming. And again, I do not blame, but blame the performance that we saw on Xavier Worthy not being there. I think they did build a plan around them after already knowing Rashee Rice wasn't going to play because of his suspension. They thought that Xavier Worthy was going to take that leap this year and really be an excellent number 2 playing in his spot. Rashee Rice was going to do all their underneath stuff. Hollywood Brown might be in that same range, but Xavier Worthy was going to be the guy to take the top off the defense and, jet sweeps. Not Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill-esque in his role for that team. And just missing him in that first play, he is a small guy. And I don't think there's anything much else to say about that. Patrick Mahomes, I think, is going to be Patrick Mahomes regardless. I know the last couple of years his stats have been suppressed, but I think that has to do with more injuries and what he had to do with his team around him. Because at the end of the day, he's still in the Super Bowl last year. So I don't know how low you can get on the Chiefs when they still have one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game in his prime. It's not like he's slowing down. Maybe his team might be slowing down because even Tom Brady in his excellent career, he wasn't the best numbers wise every year. Long term, I don't know if this really affects either team. Again, divisional matchup, I'm not worried about the team I thought was going to win losing because it's divisional. It happens. I am interested in the Chargers. Because the passing game did look better than I expected. The defense holding the Chiefs to 21 points. I mean, it's not like the Chiefs scored 30 every time like back in the day. So we'll see. Again, with that injury, I thought it was going to affect them more than it did. They look good. Now, this was the game I was most excited to see just because of how I projected the Packers to play. And when I tell you, watching this game, it was more dominant than a 13-27 final score looks like. As you can see in the box score, the Lions scored their only touchdown in the fourth quarter. Now, I'm not saying the Packers let up or whatever the case may be, but the Packers, did I say the Lions? Yeah, the Lions scored their last touchdown or their only touchdown in the fourth quarter. And this wasn't, oh my gosh, Micah Parsons affected the entire defense, because Micah didn't even play the whole game. He played a couple snaps that left him in there to play a little bit. He did get a sack, but I think this defense was excellent outside of Micah Parsons. And I think Micah Parsons might just put him over the top or put the team over the top. Jordan Love only having 188 yards, 22 attempts is a good thing. I love his talent. I love his ability. He can make every throw, I believe. I just don't know if he has it all the way yet between the ears, but having a coach like Matt LaFleur can really help him get to that next level, especially with a defense like this. I think last year's defense was underrated, but this year's defense is going to be even better. He has his weapons, Matthew Golden, Romeo Doubs, Jalen Reed, so on and so forth. I just think this Packers team has a chance to do something very special. Sad that they're in the NFC because, my Giants, but we don't have to get into that because the Giants didn't look good. But on the Lions side of things, this was depressing. I think if you were a Lions fan, you knew that you lost both coordinators, but Dan Campbell was supposed to be the man steering the ship. And maybe it's not a coaching thing. Maybe it's just you don't have the same offensive line personnel protecting your quarterback. And it doesn't look like Jared Goff had a bad game, 31 for 39, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but it didn't look like a 31 for 39. But maybe that's why he only had 225 yards with 31 completions. I can't do math off the top of my head. The average isn't good. I think the biggest deal was the running game and that protection in the not protection in the running game, but the offensive linemen moving those defensive linemen in the running game. Mind you, Micah Parsons can't stop the run apparently, so the Lions should be able to run all over them. But I digress. I think the most important part of this game was seeing Jordan Love within the offense, making the plays that needed to be made, still, showing off that arm a little bit, but that Packers defense might take them over the top. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'm very interested in some Packers stock. I will say that. Another game that I would like to discuss on here, mind you, I try to talk about each and every game on TikTok, but really when we get to YouTube, I'm only doing this stuff that either I watched, live or I really went to go study, you know, went to go watch the highlights and read the things and stats and all that other stuff, or the games that matter, like Browns, Bengals. I know that's a big name. Oh, Jamar Chase's day. I don't know if I really care about them because I don't know if they really matter. This is a game I watched in person, whether we think these teams matter or not. I watched it in person, so I'm gonna talk about it. This game was interesting because it was Sam Darnold's first time outside of, you know, since being resurrected by Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. This is his first time, you know, playing outside of that system, outside of Justin Jefferson. And I don't know if he was disappointing, but maybe underwhelming. Obviously, the story was really Brock Purdy and the way he played, whether it was the game-winning touchdown or his awful picks. Is he somewhere in between of, you know, the amazing play at the end, which I'm not going to talk bad about it. But Jake Tunges, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that, but Jake Tunges catching that pass was not supposed to happen. As a DB, and Greg Jennings talked about this. I know he's a receiver, but, you know, he played in the NFL. You have to go get that ball. Like, everybody knows, coach says, don't wait for the ball to come to you, go get it. Whether that's football, baseball, basketball, like, you go catch the pass. You don't wait for it. You know what I'm saying? So, again, that could have easily been a game-losing pick by Brock Purdy. And the Seahawks still had a chance after that to win the game, and they didn't. But I think the important part about this is George Kittle going down. Hurt my fantasy team, but we don't need to talk about it. Ricky Pearsall looking like a wide receiver 1, and Christian McCaffrey looking like a healthy player again. He only had 69 on the ground, but he had about the same through the air. So it was over 100 yards from scrimmage. That was nice. Ricky Pearsall being the wide receiver 1. Juwan Jennings, you know, falling off to the wayside. They're probably not going to pay him anyways. Waiting for Brandon Ayuk to get back. Obviously, Brock Purdy left this game with an injury, so that's going to affect the team moving forward. But I think overall, this was a good showing for the 49ers. Maybe not, you know, the day of, because we don't really think the Seahawks are going to be good. But moving forward, if Brock can get back in healthy, the weapons that they have stay healthy, that defense looked decent, but maybe it was just against Seattle. I don't know. On the other side of it, JSN, wide receiver 1, impressive. Very impressive without DK Metcalf going to the Steelers. They believe in JSN. He's going to be their number 1 wide receiver, and he proved them right. Sadly, I think he might be catching passes from Darnold for the next couple of years, but maybe not. Who knows? And of course, we need to talk about these Baltimore Ravens. Listen, I'm not a Bills hater, and I'm not necessarily a Ravens fan, even though I did pick them to go to the Super Bowl this year and last year. I am a Lamar fan. You know, I like what Zay Flowers got going on. I love Kyle Hamilton. I think the Ravens, you know, legacy, team colors, even fans, they got a lot of good things going on. And I would say they're my AFC team. You know, the NFC, obviously, I'm with the Giants, even though I think the Packers are going to win the Super Bowl. I'm with the Giants. And the AFC, I'm with the Ravens. This game was disheartening. And I know I already made my picks, but there's this one stat that I always think about that came on first things first. And the stat was every quarterback coach combo that wins a Super Bowl wins it in their first 5 years. I believe that's the stat. I could be wrong. I'm pull it up, but I believe that's the stat. That stat goes against Lamar, goes against Josh. Oh, no, I don't think wins. I think everyone that wins gets to it in the first 5 years because it doesn't count out Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. But it goes against both these quarterbacks that we see here. And honestly, watching this game and really just breathing it in after the night ended, I don't know if it's early. It's really early. I just don't know if they can make it to the Super Bowl anymore. I don't know if this coach can get them to where they need to be. And I say coaching because I don't think anything that the players did cost them the game. Like, I understand Derrick Henry fumbled the ball, bad timing, but you're up 2 scores. It's a couple minutes left in the fourth quarter. There's no reason you should lose this game. There's no reason unless you get conservative. There's no way the game ends and you're looking at this box score. If we just remove the points and we're looking Okay, Lamar only had 200 yards in the air, but it was 14 for 19, 2 touchdowns. I'm sure he ran the ball well. Derrick Henry, wow, almost 200 yards. Zay Flowers, wow, almost 150 yards. There's no way you look at that and think, oh, they lost the game. Yes, you can look at the other side and be like, wow, Josh Allen, 400 yards. But when you think about how many of those yards came in the fourth quarter, when you think Buffalo scored 22 points in the fourth quarter, 22. James Cook wasn't cooking. Keon Coleman, we'll talk about him in a second, but James Cook wasn't cooking. It was all Josh Allen all the time. And I'm going to say we because I'm a Ravens believer and a fan of Lamar Jackson and what they got going on. But the fact that the Ravens let this game go is beyond me. Again, I was watching the whole game. I was happy. I have Derrick Henry on my fantasy team, so he's just going and cooking and cooking and cooking. I'm playing Josh Allen, so this game is going well for me. Derrick Henry's going crazy. Josh Allen's mediocre. And then the fourth quarter comes. Derrick Henry has the fumble. Big deal. But then they score and they score and they don't score and they don't score. And Nick Wright had a problem with the Zay Flowers jet sweep. And I don't know if I hate it, but, you know, you were cooking them down the field with Zay. You were cooking them. You were gashing them. Mind you, 18 carries for 170 yards, essentially, for Derrick Henry. 2 touchdowns. So it's not like he was, 25 carries and 100. It's not like he was grinding and grinding. Boy was gashing them. And you decide to just... John Harbaugh. I just don't think John Harbaugh has it anymore. It might have been a while since he's had it. And I think he's a great coach. Like, I think if they were to fire him, he would get a job instantly. I don't know. I can't tell you where off the top of my head, but Miami, they might want to switch coach down there. We can think of the Saints. I don't think he'd want to coach for the Saints, but the Saints, we can think of, there's plenty of teams that, the Giants, hey, I'd probably accept him as a coach for the Giants. The Jets just got their new coach. We don't have to go through that now, but I do think John Harbaugh has to go for Lamar to win his Super Bowl. And that's sad, but because the way John Harbaugh always believed in him and talks about him, he's not like Jim where he's talking crazy about Justin Herbert, but the way he talks about Lamar, we want Lamar to be the greatest quarterback of all time. Want him to be seen as that and all that good stuff. And Lamar's well on his way, but he just needs some rings. And I mean that, some rings, not just one rings. He needs some rings. So that's how I feel about them. Let's move on to the Bills side of things. Bills, your defense doesn't look good. Your safeties, maybe they're really good against the pass. I don't know, with Zay Flowers getting 150 on the ground, through the air, probably not. But I know they can't tackle Derrick Henry, and it's not like there's many Derrick Henrys. But they look bad. Your safeties look really bad. They look slow. And again, maybe, hey, it's the Ravens offense. It happens. But you're going to have to play the Ravens, the Chargers, the Chiefs, these high-powered offenses in the playoffs. And are you going to get past them with this piss-poor defense? I don't know. And it's not, again, the only player that played well, what's his name? I forget his name. Ed Oliver. Hell of a game. Have yourself a day. I wish the NFL still posted the have a day, the graphics. But you had a day, Ed Oliver. You did great. The rest of that defense, F. Keon Coleman, I do want to talk about because it was an underwhelming year last year for Keon Coleman, but I heard good things from Deion Dawkins. Not I heard personally. I didn't speak to him personally, but Deion Dawkins said a lot of good things about Keon Coleman. And at first, I didn't see it as the game was going on. I don't think they really featured him in the offense. But then when they needed a 2-point conversion, they threw a fade to Keon Coleman. And I thought that was interesting because essentially they took the ball out of Josh's hand. When you're throwing a goal line fade, it's not a lot for the quarterback to do. You get the ball, you throw it. It wasn't like something Josh holds the ball, makes it happen with his feet or his arm. No, it was we're throwing this ball to Keon Coleman. And I thought that was very interesting. He ended the game with 112 yards on 8 receptions and a touchdown, which was really nice. But if we see the growth of Keon Coleman, maybe I'll feel differently about this offense. But right now I feel like it's just Josh Allen all the time. James Cook obviously had a great year last year, 16 touchdowns, I think, but that was his first year really popping. I do think he's still a good running back. I don't think one game proves that he's not. But I think the the emergence of Keon Coleman will be very interesting, along with Josh Palmer. Obviously, Shakir is still there, so that's interesting. Last but not least, I do want to talk about the Monday night game. Wow. I never felt like the Vikings were out of it just because of the Bears not taking control of it, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, Caleb was off to a great start. Once he missed that pass, his emotions got all over the place, and I wasn't happy with it. As a Caleb believer, as someone that wants Caleb to do well, I don't know if this was a step in the right direction. Like, yeah, we saw him make some amazing plays athletically with his legs and his arm in the beginning of the game, scrambling, all that good stuff. But I don't know if that's what coach wants out of you right now. I don't know if Ben Johnson looks at Caleb Williams and says, hey, I need you to be a top 3 quarterback in the league because of the amazing plays you make. I think let's get you in the top 15, 10 conversation first. And then with your God-given natural ability, we'll take you to the next level. Let's make you Jared Goff first. Let's make you a top 12, 10-ish quarterback first. And that's probably disrespectful to Jared Goff if you look at his numbers for the past couple of years. But let's make you Jared Goff first, and then let's make you Patrick Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the projection for Caleb Williams. And I don't know if he can. I don't know if he's there emotionally, like maturity-wise. I don't know if he's ready to be the quarterback that this Bears team needs. Defense, I think, was great. Obviously, it played J.J. McCarthy, but once J.J. got it rolling, didn't look that great. I don't think the running game was that impressive. I don't think anything about the Vikings was impressive other than the coaching on both sides of the ball. Kevin O'Connell, I forget his name. Wow. Crazy scheme. Used to play for the Dolphins, or used to be the Dolphins coach. Can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. But shout out to that coach. Wow, I got to look it up, guys. I'm sorry. Brian Flores. Wow, I can't believe I forgot his name. Brian Flores, obviously, we know he has a hell of a scheme. I do expect that Vikings defense to look better. I'm not saying they look bad, but 24 to a Chicago team that, okay, well, you have Ben Johnson now, but we don't really think you're going to do much. You could probably do better. It was interesting that Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason kind of switched roles. Like, Jordan Mason seemed like he was the lead back. JJ, again, obviously the big story of the game was J.J. McCarthy figuring it out as the game went on. Obviously, in the fourth quarter, he scored 21 points. Not he, but that team scored 21 points compared to the Bills scoring 22 on the Ravens. So if you're letting 21 on your head for the Bears against the Vikings, what are you going to do against top teams? Let's just throw that out there. But anyways, JJ, I don't know how to feel about JJ. I watched his national championship game. I left the game knowing his name because he was the starting quarterback, but not because he played well. Not because I thought like, wow, look at this kid, you know. But his coach believes in him. There's a lot of scouts and stuff that believe in him. We're talking about character. We're talking about maybe he doesn't have the strongest arm or the best legs or whatever the case may be. But he got the job done, and I respect that personally. You don't have to be, you know, the best athlete to play quarterback. Nowadays, it looks like the best athletes do. But, you know, when we think about Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, players like that, you could do it. You could definitely get the job done. Matthew Stafford, you can get the job done with just your arm and your brain. That's the thing. It takes a while I think, to get that QB brain going. But the Bears, it's disappointing. Ben Johnson, first game, 24 points. You want it to be better. You want it to look better. You want Caleb Williams to be better, especially, you know, number 1 overall pick. He's lost to every quarterback in his draft, I think. I think they said JJ, Bo, Jaden, obviously Jaden. Drake May, did he lose to Drake May? There's no way. Might have, because Patriots didn't look that good either. But anyways, I just wanted to get on here and yap around about a couple games in week 1. I'm going to try to get this video out earlier for week 2. I know we're already late in week 1. But yeah, again, on TikTok, I'm going to be talking about the games right after the games happen. So you might get more raw reactions out of me then. But check in the link in the description for the TikTok. There's Twitter on there. I'm live tweeting through all the games. So yeah, get with me on Twitter. Get with me on TikTok. And till then, God bless. Thanks for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. If you don't agree with any of my takes, we can argue about it. Get on the podcast, get in the comments, whatever you want to do. You can subscribe to my channel right here. In this other corner, you should get with my TikTok and my Twitter. And in this corner right here, you can watch any more reaction videos, vlogs, or watch any more takes. Till then, see y'all. God bless.